So in this video, I wanted to do a review of a really cool pen that I'm sure not a lot of people out there have seen or used. It's called the Tombow Oceanic. This is part of Tombow's design series pens. It was sold in the 90s, and it's pretty rare these days. I don't know if that's rare because it's not desirable or rare just because they didn't make a lot of them, but you can stumble on them now and again, but you don't run into them by accident. The Oceanic, sometimes called the Zoom Oceanic, but I think the name is actually the Oceanic, is more popularly seen as a mechanical pencil, but I happen to have it in a pen. I tend to be more of a pen writer, so I would actually prefer it in the pen. Clearly it's called the Oceanic. Clearly it's shaped like a fish for unclear reasons, but it is a historic oddity, so I was happy to pick one up when I found one on eBay, I don't know, maybe a year ago, something like that. Fish shape, made of a hard plastic, or at least it's coated in a hard plastic. It's almost rubbery, but it's like a textured plastic. The texture is sort of like a fish scale, or maybe like a shark skin, something like that. It's definitely a textured plastic. You can see it has some scuffs and all, which this pen has been kicking around since, I want to guess, the mid-90s. I couldn't exactly figure out the age range when they were made. But yeah, so it has a very strange texture to it, which is kind of cool. It's grippy without being too grippy, and it's not soft. It's a hard material. There's a little bit of softness up here, but that's because this piece plunges in, and this really light rubber or vinyl, whatever this is, sort of crinkles down in this kind of funny, not very elegant way. But it's not like you could do a baffled here, whereas a fish doesn't have a baffled connecting its tail to its body. No clip. It would have been really cool to do a clip, sort of like a dorsal fin or something like that, but Tombow opted not to have any sort of clips or fins. So it does sort of flop around on your desk, which, I mean, I don't expect this to be a functional pen, so I don't really worry too much about it flopping around, but if I was using this more often, it would be rather annoying. It doesn't stand up or anything like that. The top is not flat, it's slightly rounded. So that is a little bit annoying. So it's just like, I never know where to put it. Was it just like, this is a flat desk, so it's not moving anywhere, but on a standard desk or on a book or next to your laptop, it's always kind of shifting around. Anyway, logo is really light. It says Tombow. There's a fish. Then there is I guess a tilde, and then it's made in Japan. So that's pretty cool. This uses a D1 standard refill. So it's a skinny refill usually found in very small or in multi-pens. And it has a brass front section, which is really nice to see, gives a little bit of extra weight. Even though this front area has the same texture as the body, which is not brass, which is plastic. And here is your D1 refill. It's friction fit in there, and if you give it a tug, it will come out. I'm a little bit hesitant to pull it out because the mechanism inside is pretty old, and I'm not sure how well made it is, but you could see here, this sleeve comes out. This is the plastic pen body. It's definitely plastic. You could see on the inside, it's not metal. And this is one piece. This is sort of the business object here. You can see what happens. The tail pushes and the inside clips in and out. This goes back in. It fits in. Basically, it's like inside is hexagonal or has some sort of teeth or something like that. I think it uses the hex in here. So it could only fit in the one. I mean, it could fit in many directions, but it has to go in the right spot. Then it locks in place, so it doesn't twist anymore, which is good. And then you basically tighten the tail against the front, squeezing the body in the middle to tighten the pen down. Again, it's a standard D1 refill, so you could have no problem replacing that refill with something modern today. You probably just want to use a European size, or maybe a Japan size was made in Japan. You have to experiment. The problem with the D1s is some are wider and some are narrower, so it's not perfect, even though it is an ISO standard. Anyway, so it does click down. It's a fine click, nothing great, a little mushy. No, the sound is not anything special. And when it clicks down, you can't tell that it's clicked or, pushed down in any way. It looks the same, so you have to look and see if you have the tip out there. Not a huge deal, but I know some people are sticklers for that. And then it's gonna write as well as your D1 refill light writes. This is an old refill and doesn't write that well, but if you put a new D1 in there, maybe a Schmidt 6000 or something like that, it'll write really well. Put a Rotring D1, that's fine, whatever you want. And again, it's just a standard D1 ballpoint refill in there or hybrid, whatever you get. The pen is actually really odd to write with because it's short. It's a little bit over 5 inches long, and then it gets quite wide. It's about 20 millimeters in the center, and then it tapers down. So it's so short, so I tend to hold it in the middle for whatever reason. But it even down here, it's just a wide pen. So it's just like, it's kind of fat. And it's really, to me, it's funny because I use the Lamy 2000 a lot. And then Lamy has something called I want to say it's called a Scribble. I'm blanking on the name. And this is sort of like a Lamy 2000 ballpoint or Lamy Scribble shape, but really exaggerated. It's just much wider than either of those pens. And it's as short as the Scribble, but longer than the, it's like shorter than the Lamy 2000, but longer than the Scribble. So if you want a modern equivalent, I would check out one of those. This is probably not a pen I would say is really worth tracking down. But again, I picked it up just because I really like Tombow stuff lately. I think it's just a really interesting company. And then I was able to find this thing used for a good deal. So I figured I'd pick it up. I think that pretty much covers it. This is the Tombow Oceanic. I would say definitely don't go ahead and buy one of these. It's a fun pen, but really not worth tracking down unless you're a really diehard Tombow fan. If you are gonna get it in the mechanical pencil. That one's a lot more desirable and it's more fun to use. It actually does have an eraser, it comes apart, and it looks like a pretty fun, cool pencil, whereas this is just a kind of like average D1 pen. Thanks for watching.